Welcome back, friends. I'm going to try and get through this one the best I can. This one, I'm sorry, was hard to not laugh as I went through. If you can guess who the person is, put it into the comments before I'm finished. So we have today's story. The king who ate himself to death. It's the 18th century in Europe was a dangerous place to wear a crown. Assassins lurked in the shadows. Poison was slipped into silver chalices. Rival empires constantly plotted invasion. But for one particular European monarch, let's call him Adolf, the greatest danger wasn't an assassin's blade or invading armies. It was his own appetite. Adolf was a kind, gentle man. In truth, he wasn't really meant to be king at all. He was a minor German prince, a prince-bishop plucked from relative obscurity and placed on the Swedish throne as a political compromise to end the war with Russia. Once he had the crown on his head, he quickly found that he had zero actual power. Swedish parliament, the Riksdag, held all the cards. They even went so far as to create a stamp of his signature so they could pass laws and issue decrees without him even needing to be in the room. He tried to seize real control at least twice. He failed both times. Since he couldn't rule the country, Adolf turned his attention to one domain where he still held absolute authority, his dinner plate. It was Shrove Tuesday, called Fritzendagen in Sweden, the traditional indulgent feast day right before the fasting season of Lent. And Adolf intended to feast. Now, we should say up front, the king was already a sick man. He was 60 years old. His physicians had spent years recording his headaches, his stomach cramps, and his generally miserable digestion. But the spread laid before him that night was magnificent. He sat down and worked through lobster, caviar, salted kippers, sauerkraut, boiled meats with turnips, and duck. He washed them down with copious amounts of champagne. It was a heavy, overwhelming meal fit for a king. For any normal man, it would have been more than enough. But Adolf had a notorious sweet tooth. He was saving room for the main event. For dessert, the royal kitchen brought out his absolute favorite, a traditional Nordic pastry known as semla. Now, in Adolf's day, a semla wasn't quite the towering cream stuffed dessert you'd find in Stockholm bakeries today. It was simpler, a dense, sweet wheat bun. But the king demanded his be served the old-fashioned way, floating in a bowl of steaming hot milk. It was called hetsvag. Adolf finished his first pastry. He wiped his mouth, then he asked for a second, then a third. The royal court watched as the king just kept eating. 4, 5, 10. And according to the story Sweden has been telling for the last 250 years, Adolf didn't stop until he had consumed 14 of them on top of his seafood feast. Now, is that number real? Honestly, we don't know. The count doesn't show up in any record from that night. It appears much later, the way good stories tend to grow as it's being told. What he did write was the menu. And he wrote that His Majesty's death came from an indigestion of hetsvag, sauerkraut, meats with turnips, lobster, caviar, duckling, and champagne wine. Because here's what's not in dispute. Around 8:15 in the evening, just hours after dinner, the king complained of dizziness. He said that he felt sick. The royal physicians were summoned to his chambers. There was nothing they could do. He collapsed and died that very night. The doctors recorded the cause as stroke. But Axtirna had his own verdict. He wrote that the pastry had committed regicide and that whoever baked it should be sent into exile. A king surrounded by assassins, armies, and poison. And what finally got him was dessert. His name was Ada Frederick, King of Sweden. And this is The Landing Point. Viewers, thank you for watching today, The Landing Point. We really appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Roadrunner Real Estate. They are a full-service real estate company doing both commercial and residential real estate. They can help you buy, sell, or even lease your properties. So if you're in the market looking for a real estate company, please go out and give them a call. They'll happily help you today. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our social media. Obviously, we have YouTube if you're watching that today. If you haven't done so already, please go out and subscribe. It is completely free to you. There's nothing that you'll be charged or your membership fees, but it does help us out so we can get our latest episodes to you quickly, and you can find out what's going on with YouTube. Our other place that we do a lot of our social media is on our Facebook page, The Landing Point. So please go out and like and subscribe or follow those, I guess I would say, so you get the latest updates. If you're a person that likes to listen to stories as you're out on the drive, we have our podcast. You can find The Landing Point out there, and it can be on most services. So once again, thank you for watching The Landing Point, and we look forward to see you on our next story.